notice. Okay. So far, we've discussed multiple different aspects regarding geography. Okay? We've talked about what it was, remember? We talked about, I told you on Sunday to write down different themes. However, what I'm going to do today is I'm going to discuss those themes while also expanding on them. Yes, dear. Yeah, you can. And actually, can you do me a favor? Can you? Exactly. Okay, so today will be lesson 2. We're not just this, and we're going to be discussing multiple things. So Yusuf, can you go to the next slide for me, please? So, what have we learned so far? We've talked about what geography is. Can anybody remind me what I said the definition was in geography so that we're all on the same page? Does anybody remember what I said it was?
You talked about the human activity in the physical environment.
Very good, that's the one. But I want the actual definition that I said to you. So go ahead, Jenna.
The study of both physical and human activity and the relationship between each other.
The study between, like we said, physical
and human activity and the relationship between them.
I'm not going to read the whole thing, but now you understand that. You will actually I'm sorry, dear? It was lesson 1, right? It was lesson 1 continuation, so yes, lesson, it can be 2 or 3. But at this point, what I just want to make sure is that you all understand. I'm going to make sure that you all understand everything we talked about so far, okay? So far, yes, we're doing kind of like a recap. Does that make sense? No, from when we started, okay? So, we talked about the study between physical and human activity, okay? Now, on top of that, we discussed, and I don't know if you noticed, I said to you on, I believe, Monday, I know some of you weren't here, Sunday, we talked about 5 different themes, and I made you guys write them down in your notebooks, and I'll remind you. If anybody was here, does anybody remember it was location? Go ahead. Hala, say it. Go ahead.
Location.
Okay.
Place.
Okay. Movement.
Region.
Okay. Region.
Human environment. Interaction.
Very good. So it was human interaction. One second. When I turn around, then you can tell me. Yes, yeah.
Location of this one is نفس المعنى.
It's almost the same thing. However, use it. Go to the next slide because that's what we're going to be reviewing again. No, keep going. One more. One more. We talked about this. So stop for 1 second. Before I continue with that, what I want you to look at is we said that geography is 2 different branches: physical environment, human activity, and how it is what they are related to one another. So remember, for instance, when I said to you, and I don't, if we're talking about the relationship between you and I as students, okay, teacher and students, that would be the human activity. I am the teacher. What am I doing? I'm teaching you, right? We're having conversations. We're building relationships with one another. On top of the fact, in our physical environment, what would you say that this is the physical environment? It's just the classroom. And there are certain expectations in which, in the setting of this environment. Let's talk a little bit about what happened the other day when we said, is it okay? Yes.
So, Noreen, are you using the device right now?
She's right here.
Huh?
She's not.
But Yanda needs it for the project.
Noreen, can you give her the device, please? If you don't mind? I yelled at. That's okay. Now, with that being said, in our physical environment, if, for instance, you decided to play, soccer, can you give me a second? Can I finish and then you can talk to me? Is that okay with you? No. I have a soccer ball. Is it okay for me to be playing a soccer ball while this teacher is explaining something? No. That would be known as the physical environment. There are certain criteria that come with the physical environment. Okay? We also said that these are also associated in what way? If I was to, for instance, throw a bottle on the floor, okay? And I environment? It gets polluted, it gets trashed, and what does that trash in the end build up to get what? It gets me sick. Very good day, Yusuf. It does get me sick. Because, for instance, the more I litter, the more pollution is being set in the air by all the carbon dioxide that's being put in the air. So in the end, it's a vicious cycle. Your interaction, your behavior that you do to your physical environment will in the end affect you.
You get what you give.
You get what you give. That's a good one, actually. He goes to the next slide, Yusuf.
Like global warming.
Like global warming. You're absolutely. Oh yes. Okay. Go ahead, Yadi. For that question. Go ahead. For what? The country profile? Can I get back to you because I'm not sure yet? Okay. But keep that question because I'm not sure. Okay. Now we talked about the key concepts. We were just saying location. So when I'm talking about, for instance, location, I'm referring to a place and a position on Earth. So right now here in Egypt, what's my location? North Africa, right? I'm in Middle East, North Africa, right? That's, for instance, the location on the Earth. Movement, and this is, I want you to keep this in mind because this is what we're going to be talking about because this will be related to the MUN debates. So keep this in mind, a big asterisk over it.
So one with
Region, Yusuf, I'm still talking, you gotta give me a sec. Region is, for instance, the type of common traits that have to do with the physical environment. When we talk about Egypt, we talk about what kind of traits do we have? It's a desert, it's dry, in winter it's, what would you say, muggy. We have either a wet season or a dry season, right? Depending on the season. That's what region means. Last but specifically not least, second, place is, again, giving physical attributes, and for instance, the environment, I'm going to call it with the human interactions. Remember when we said that? This has to do with human interaction. It's the interaction between yours and the, okay? It's the interaction between us as human beings, right? So if I say, Yusuf and I, we have for instance, a teacher and student relationship, you know that you're not going to disrespect me, and I know that because you earned my respect, I will give it to you. Would you agree that I do that? I'm very fair. I think one thing, and Gabriella said this to me a long time ago, she said, Miss Sarah, you're very fair. I don't judge you on your attitude. I don't judge you on the way you are. I don't even judge you on your grades. I judge you on how do we talk and and the respect, the mutual respect that we have. Would you agree? Everybody in this room is like that. Because I want you to know this is a safe space. Can you go to the next slide, Yusuf? Okay. Now, and I'm actually going to do something a little bit unconventional before we get to this slide. Okay? Unconventional, which means a little bit different. I'm going to add no, and you know why. You guys all know why. That's right? No, it's not. I want to do this. I want to draw something before I get to that slide. This is completely off topic, but I feel like this will be way better at understanding. Okay? 1 second. Okay.
Geography?
Yeah, it's still geography. It's still the same lesson. I just went on a different tangent because I think you're going to understand this better. You have to write this down. Okay? That when we're talking about movement, we're talking about 3 different things. Okay? And the differences. I wrote that in the PowerPoint. But I find that if I draw it like this for you, you're going to understand way better. Because you can write it from the PowerPoint, which is what you're doing. But this is a way better explanation when you see, for instance, a diagram. I just thought about it right now. This movement, we have 3 types of movements. The first one is immigration.
Migration.
Very good, Perla. Migration. Yes. And Salma.
Hey man,
How are you?
still alive. No. Yusuf?
Which one? Anis
Me.
or Kamal?
هنا؟ يوسف عز؟ ولا حبيبي؟
Yusuf and Yusuf, none of that bad.
يوسف الثاني فين؟
Do I write it again?
انت وجه حبيبي
Yeah,
Julia.
go on to it. Okay. So,
Listen,
immigration, migration,
migration.
that's what we're going to talk about right now. Okay? There are 3 different types of movements. Okay? And this needs to be I want you guys to keep this in mind. Why? Because when we're talking about forced versus chosen versus going and coming, they're 3 different things. فأول حاجة immigration, are you ready? Is you. No, that's what I'm going to show you. Leaving a country, okay, willingly, okay, or we like to say by choice. So now let's discuss why do people choose to immigrate, for instance? Just immigrate. So this is by choice. Okay? Give me an example of, say that again. Better lifestyle, so we're looking at more opportunities, so we're looking at EG, so example, we're looking, you're right, if there's inflation, so opportunities, we're looking at, sorry, you can't see, can I make a suggestion, Jenna? Can you come right there? That actually might be a, you're still not an agreement. Okay, so, better opportunities, you might have maybe, I heard inflation, I hear this a lot, you guys are talking about that recently, we've been talking about that a lot. So anyway, it doesn't have to be opportunities for money, it could be opportunities for a job, it could be better education. There's so many different types of reasons why people immigrate, for many different reasons, okay? That's immigrate. This is leaving your home country, specifically I have a country, but it's your home country, by choice. Migration back along the edge is usually by force. Okay? They're forced to migrate. So this one is honestly a little bit sad, but it's leaving by force. It could be due to conflict. It could be due to disaster. It could be due to famine. It could be due to war, famine. When there's no food anymore, so people are starving. Okay? So for instance, there's no more resources, so people are now starving. Okay? Yes, sir. So it's not have to, that's when, for instance, when we're celebrating Ramadan, because we're celebrating it next week. Yes, Ramadan has a lot of connotation of feeding the poor. Would you agree? That's very true. So, but this is that you're leaving because you don't have any other resources. Ramadan, when we're talking about Ramadan, we're talking about, for instance, having us, we are fortunate, and giving the less fortunate. Does that make sense? That's the connotation behind Ramadan. And we fast in order to, for instance, feel and remember the word empathy? To feel, we talked about empathy before, right? To be in people's shoes, exactly, right? So that's the feeling of Ramadan and the whole connotation. Is she? Now, this is usually, for instance, when we're talking about war, right? So people become displaced. The big word that I want you guys to understand in the whole with migration is displacement. You are forced out of the country, not because you want to, but because you have to. Okay? And that's where it was Ali who said, Miss, the refugees, that's how, for instance, we have a lot of refugees who have to leave their country. Like right now, what's happening, for instance, Iraq. Yes, exactly. A lot of those The Armenian genocide was the Turkish and the Armenians, they were not seeing eye to eye, so unfortunately there was what we like to call ethnic cleansing. Sorry? Genocide means that unfortunately you take the life of many people because of their race, right? Or based on, in this case it was based on their race. A lot of those people, because they were trying to get to safety, what were they doing? They were fleeing, they were running, so they went to, for instance, Lebanon, they went to Germany, they went to Egypt, like Armenians, that's so long, okay? They went to Canada, they went to the States. What did they do is that they had to leave, huh? Armenians are from Armenia, I'll show you where that is, yes. In the whole displacement that's happening right now in Gaza. The Palestinians are coming into Egypt. So they're being displaced. Good question. Okay. Now, with immigration, this is another one. This is also leaving, but coming. Leaving home country. Actually, this happens a lot when, for instance, you're a student and you're on a study visa. Right? Let's say, for instance, right now I want to go study in the UK. Right? When I study in the UK, what's going to happen? I'm going to get a visa, but I know that I'm going to come back to my home country, which is Egypt. Does this make sense? Okay? So, leaving home country it could be for study, it could be for work, but you know that you will come back. Okay. So these are, when we're talking about geography, remember what I told you that I made yesterday or the day before on Sunday? I made a nice what? What was the shape that I made? An umbrella. Because geography is a huge umbrella term. It encompasses all of this. Does that make sense? Can we send a black marker? I don't know where it is now. Anyway, it is my beautiful umbrella term. Bezopt. Because it's one big term, it's geography, it's the study. Here. Let's ask for more markers. And underneath that, now you need to understand the reason why I called it an umbrella term. It's because all of this stuff is underneath this umbrella. You know when, for instance, it's raining and you're underneath it? This is exactly what it is. This is why I call it an umbrella term. It encompasses everything. Now, we're going to talk about the reason why I wanted to talk about this. Okay? So I'm going to go back to my PowerPoint. Okay? Sorry, I'm going to say it again. Say it again? No, stay on the same page. Okay, so I talked about, so this is all, okay? I talked about them. But don't you like it better when I drew it? Yes. Because I can say this and I can ask you to write it down. But I realize that if it's there on the PowerPoint in case you weren't here. But now that you're here and you're listening to me, I know that you guys like drawings. I find that way more, I find that it's helping you guys way more. Now, the reason why I brought this up is because we're going to talk about the movement to do with brain drain. So actually, I think maybe the writing is too much. I do like the idea that I continue to draw. So I'm going to do this. One type of movement that is affecting the economy, and keep this in mind because when I tell you to do your country profile assignment, you need to keep this in mind. Okay? When we're talking about movement, there's one movement that is draining everything, and that is called brain drain. Brain drain, by definition, is highly skilled people leaving their home country to go to another country, okay, in order to what? In order to have better opportunity, which must be not just better opportunity, but also as well, you're still not in it anymore, I promise. It's just focusing on me. It's only me. Okay? Here in brain drain, okay, it is the movement of highly skilled individuals and them leaving their home country. Now, when I mean highly skilled, I mean doctors, I mean engineers, okay? I mean individuals that have skills that they can offer to the public. So when, for instance, and we're going to talk about this now, doctors here in Egypt, what is their lifetime goal? And I hear it all the time. Where do they really want to go? They want to go to the US all the time. Okay? Why? That's a very good question, Gabriela. Why would they want to go to the US? Huh? It has better working opportunities and more money. But what happens when those highly skilled individuals leave Egypt? Then we have a crisis. Because they all want to go somewhere else. And actually, that was very apparent during COVID-19. Correct? Literally, say this in English. What happened to Egypt? We got destroyed. Because there were so many people getting sick, we didn't have the resources. The majority of the doctors who, let's say, على فكرة, we all know, everybody knows this. Egyptian doctors here in Egypt are the best doctors. They go anywhere in the world, they are the best doctors. Take, for instance, Nobel Prize winners. A lot of them. Sir, اسمه ايه؟ نسيت اسمه اللي هو بتاع القلب the cardiologist.
ايوه
Diaoud. And the one who won a Nobel Peace Prize. Not Nobel Peace Prize, but the one for physics. I forget his name. Zoued. There's so many. Yeah, Zoued. Ahmed Zoued.
So outside.
No, they died. They were outside. That's brain drain. Because all of those people were actually born and educated here. But the US gave them a better lifestyle, and they gave them money, and they gave them prestige, and they decided, no, we're going to leave, we're going to go. Does that make sense? That's what I want you to understand. That this is a huge issue when very highly skilled individuals leave. Yes, Mustafa, you're being so patient. Go ahead. And they want to go to America and get more money. America because they make more money. He's right. They don't flee. They get better opportunities, so they immigrate. So fleeing would be what? Migrate. خلي بالكم. Be very cautious and mindful of what you're saying. You cannot say these people flee. They did not. They were given opportunities to study there, and then later on they became citizens. Right?
Why would they go there? It's مثلا they get more money, but also the cost of مثلا
the cost of living is very expensive. Agreed. However, they got used to it because they had a better quality of life, for instance. Because here in Egypt, unfortunately, there's such a saturation of doctors, they're not getting paid very well. If you're a very good paid doctor, what are you doing? Private. عندي العيادة بتاعتي. I have my own private clinic, right? That's the only. But in order to have a private clinic here, or I work in a private hospital, which is very limited. The rest of them is funded by the Egyptian government, or for instance, many today because of the
Well,
weather.
they want us to leave and they study something and their passion is to leave us in college.
Exactly.
Doctor.
And you know what's so sad about this? Did you know that because you know that
Oh yeah,
universities-
you ask someone in high school مثلا where you wanna go لما يدخل ستة الكلاس
I'm almost done here, so give me 5 more minutes and then we'll come back, okay? Yes.
تلاقيهم their answer is bother.
Yes. They're all saying we want to study outside.
And they're not coming back to work
And they're exactly making, for instance, the UK economy what? Amazing. Versus here, the economy is doing what? Drop.
Because it's funded by us.
But exactly, but all of those doctors who leave are actually funded by the Egyptian government because you know that اللي هي الجامعات اللي هي the public universities they're free.
عين شمس.
Ain Shams, Cairo University. How else? Okay, AUC is private, but everything else is funded by the government. But imagine, me as the government, I give you everything and free, everything's free. And then very small amount, 5,000 EGP. That's nothing. Do you know how much it costs to be a doctor in the US?
Yes, and it's more than 7 years.
Exactly.
They need to take like a physics college and then they go to
Think it was you're the only one who raises his hand. Go ahead.
This one someone else مثلا move to America مثلا every year in America something bad happens here. This year happened.
Listen, at the end of the day, it's money. Let's be honest, it's all about money.
And a better
And a better economy. That's the reality of things. Okay? And this is an issue. So now I want you to think. Remember I was telling you about the country profile assignment?
Yes.
The reason why I asked you to use, I posted, okay? Here's the document so that everybody's on the same page again. Sorry, 1 second, let me just find it. I need you together to look at the economy. I want you to talk about the inflation. I want you to find out the amount of individuals who leave the country. And what do? How many? You have to look at the data. I want you to start looking at the data. Because when you become an expert in your country, when you get up there during MUN, you'll be able to defend it, right?
Yes.
So actually, can I have a volunteer who doesn't mind being on camera? Because it's usually been on camera so long. Come, Jess. Let's make sure that we're gonna debate for a second. Come here. Both of you are gonna debate. Okay. Which country do you want to be? Okay. You'll be Egypt. You'll be. No, I want to be Canada. So Canada's good. Okay. The topic is brain drain. So, what are you gonna say?
In Egypt we have better studying opportunities, but Canada gives more money, so Egyptians go to it.
Okay, so that's a problem. So you need to debate that. You want your people to come back from Canada. So what are you going to say to Canada? Canada, you're taking my people.
So you should stop giving them better opportunities so they could stay with us.
Okay, Egypt, what are you going to say? You're going to stop giving. She's saying stop giving them better opportunities. What's your rebuttal?
Why would I stop giving better opportunities when doctors are way more respected here and way more sought after? And they have better living conditions
Whoa.
and way better insurance.
Okay, huh?
Because you could teach your own, like the new generation that's coming up. You could teach them and give them a better lifestyle.
Canada, you should focus on your own. Where are your kids?
Yes,
Don't take our kids.
You should focus on the new generation that's coming up in your country and give them a better education, and then stop taking our generation.
So we have the dollar here. It's way more Canadian loonie.
The Canadian dollar. My hand is a
Canadian dollar. It's better and stronger than the Egyptian pound. But when doctors here,
Egypt.
that's why they come for more money.
That's a really good.
That's a really good point. What are you gonna say? What are you
Now
gonna
we
say?
will provide them with a better lifestyle. But if you leave them, we could get the opportunity to provide them with a better
Our
lifestyle.
government needs money. That's why we don't have a lot of free colleges. Your government is on the list. That's why they have a lot of free colleges.
Because we want to provide a better lifestyle and a better education.
So you provide them with free.
Okay. Do you see? This is what you're going to be doing when you're out at MUN. Obviously, it's going to be way more professional, right? But that's what I want you to do. That's the reason why I asked you to go head to head. You will go head to head. Okay? So think about it.
The Egypt is gonna lose.